up, nerds? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie. If you're new here, I hope your day is going well. And today we're gonna do a video that's so fucking stupid. I was watching Books with Leo's channel. She is one of my favorite new, YouTubers. She has the most aesthetic of blah. Guess who's not an aesthetic booktuber? This girl! She has the most aesthetic of vlogs, and she does some really interesting videos, and she recently did a book recommendation based on her dating life. And your girl is stealing that idea. It's a little bit different because she actually went on multiple dates with these people, and it's actually her dating life, whereas I'm doing book recommendations based on my worst Tinder dates, or just dates in general, because some of these weren't Tinder dates. But I texted my friends and I was like, hey, I got an idea. You guys gotta tell me it's stupid so I won't do it. They didn't tell me it was stupid, so I'm doing it. So yeah, if this is the first video you're seeing from me, hello, hi, my name's Maddie. I am a chaotic mess. Cool. Is this video just a chaotic way of me telling you about my worst dates and then recommending my favorite books off of those dates? Yes, but it's gonna be a fun time. So let's get into it so it's not a million years long. Yeah? Cool. So the first story I'm going to tell you about is about my first ever Tinder date. Now, this video is not going to have any stories about someone or anyone that I've been on a date with in the last year. So if you're someone I've recently gone on a date with, you can click off. I'm not going to talk about you. But the first Tinder date I ever had, I told my roommates where I was going. I told my mom where I was going. I told you guys on Twitter where I was going. And it ended up being one of the weirdest experiences of my life. So let's set the stage, shall we? The guy I was going on a date with, about an hour beforehand, told me that, hey, by the way, I don't drink. We were gonna meet at a bar. So we decided to, instead of meeting in a bar, we were gonna meet at a cafe. I arrived at the cafe early, got a drink, and he showed up and then didn't order anything at the cafe. And then we went to the movie theater right across from the cafe to watch The Quiet Place. Excellent movie, might I say, but it's not really a great idea to go to a movie for the first date. I can't really recall what I did for dates before quarantine, but a movie is not really necessarily the best thing to do because, especially if you're in a movie theater, you kind of can't really talk over the movie. It's kind of like a faux pas, or so I'm told. But this particular guy decided that even though we had just met, he was going to hold my hand throughout the whole date. And I'm kind of not a touchy person, and that was just a little weird for me. And then after the movie, he was like, we should go back to my place. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna go home. So the book recommendation I am basing this off of is going to encapsulate the kind of identity of a couple characters. And this is the one that I couldn't really pick, so I'm just gonna do two recommendations. And it's basically going to encapsulate people that are a little oblivious and a little too caught up in their own life to kind of explain to other people what's going on, not telling someone that you don't drink when they're like, hey, let's meet up at a bar, and then not really realizing that you shouldn't hold someone's hand, that you don't really know what their personal comfort level is with that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I want to go with a couple characters that I think are just a little bit on the oblivious side. The first one I'm going to recommend is Gideon the Ninth. Gideon, the titular character, is gay as fuck, but she's a little wrapped up in her own head all the time, and she doesn't really know what's going on around her, but she's also kind of horny a lot, and it's a really interesting ride being in Gideon's head. But this book is about lesbian necromancers in space, and I highly recommend it. It's so much fun. It's weird as fuck, but I really recommend it. On top of that, a book that I've talked about so many fucking times, and the third book is coming out very soon, is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This book has a character named Ali. He is a prince, and he is very focused on being kind of an idiot, and he doesn't really know the subtleties that he should exemplify as a prince, so he kind of gets himself in trouble a lot. But I thoroughly enjoy him as a person, and I think that he encapsulates kind of the non-awareness. I feel like he would definitely be one of those characters that's like, hey, let's meet up here, and then he shows up and he doesn't order anything because he's vegan. But yeah, so moving on. So I'm gonna go on to my worst dating app date. I think I actually, when I was trying Bumble, that's how I met up with this guy. But setting the stage once again, I got to the brewery early. I was in like a jeans and t-shirt, and I don't know if he was late or what, but he rolls in full suit and tie right out of work, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm underdressed, that's fine. And he was talking about how he's like Mr. Positive all the time. And like, there's nothing wrong with that, but like, I really don't enjoy listening to someone talk about how they're positive all the time. And then all of a sudden they start bitching about their job and how hard it is to do their job. And that's what this guy did. And he had just come from like some like golf tournament. I don't remember exactly. I wasn't really listening, but then as we hung out, we imbibed some alcohol, as you do at a brewery, and this guy drank as much as me, but managed to get twice as hammered, at least. And then we ended up, going down the memory lane, and he ended up talking about his grandma running naked through the street at some point. And this guy specifically also literally said, I can tell I'm making you uncomfortable, but I'm gonna continue telling this story. What? So not only am I like sitting there like, oh wow, because he's like, he took off his jacket, he loosened his tie, he was getting really warm because he's really drunk, and I'm just sitting there like, this is the weirdest thing I have ever been witness to on a date. So I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy this. It's gonna be a good story. And then I walked him to his car and he was like, I'll see you around. And as I was turning around, I said under my breath, no, you won't. And I'm realizing I probably shouldn't have said that as loudly as I did. I don't think he heard me, but I did get a text message that I immediately ignored the next day. And what book would I recommend off of that winner of a date? Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I am going to be recommending basically Darlington from this book. Darlington is a character that is like asshole deep into a secret society, but he also isn't really the most street smart type of character. And for the most part, he just gets into some weird shit, and he just, has to have someone bail him out sometimes. This book is actually about Alex. She is a junkie that gets a full ride to Yale to be part of their secret police for these secret societies. And it's one of those books that's just kind of a head fuck, and I highly recommend you look up the trigger warnings for it. But per that date, this book, good shit. Now, I think a few of you are like, hey Maddie, you're bi, so are you gonna talk about any dates that you've been on with girls? No, but I wanted to talk about a date that I went on where the only memorable thing from that date was the guy found out that I told him that I was bi, and he's like, wow, thank you for being out with me, as if I could like pretend to not like men. If that's an option, I have yet to figure it out. Once again, one of my favorite books, I'm gonna base it on Trick from Nevernight, and I'm not even gonna go into this one. You guys know this is one of my favorite books, and if you've read the series, you understand what I'm talking about. But yep, moving on. This video is gonna be like a million years long, and it's mostly just me going to be editing out all of the footage of me just fucking laughing to myself. It's gonna be great. All right, so a date that I went on when I was like 17 or 18, I was really, really young. I went on this date with a guy that I met from my work, and we were driving around in his car, and we ended up parking somewhere, and the windows got steamy, not for any fucking reason, you perverts. And I wiped my like sweater against the window, and this guy went like, he freaked the fuck out because I had touched his window with my sweater, and like that does something to the windows. I don't know, I'm not a car person. I don't think I hung out with that guy again, but I was just like, wow, dude, you like can wash the windows, it's totally fine. And this particular book recommendation is a little bit of a leap because this guy doesn't have a car. I don't think he even has a spaceship, but I want to talk about him anyway. And that is Nick from Gemina. This is the second book in the Illuminae files, and I absolutely love it, and I haven't recommended it in a while. This is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I prefer this over their newer series, personally. But I would say that Nick, who is this like gangster, kind of like very sure of himself dude, if he had a spaceship or a car, I feel like he'd be one of those guys that'd be like, oh, don't touch! And I think that would be funny. So if you haven't read this series, please do. It's told and like IMs and stuff, and it's just really cool. You should listen to the audiobook because it is a full cast and just super fucking awesome. So, all right, so the last recommendation and date story-wise is actually one that's pretty simple. Like, I went on a date with a guy and we ended up hanging out for maybe like an hour and a half-ish, and the entire time he would not stop talking. And I get that, like, you know, it's good to get to know people, and like I like dates where you have like a good flow of conversation. But this guy would not stop talking, mansplained a shit ton of stuff to me that I already knew about. And then on top of that, when I told him that I read like 200 books in 2019, not 2019, 2018, and then that I do YouTube, he was like, oh, so that's like your job, right? Like you could not work a 40-hour job and read and edit and do all of that stuff. And I was like, no, I work a 9 to 5. Like I work a full-time job and I do YouTube. Like you can do that. And he just literally was like, he didn't believe me. Like he acted so like pretentious about it. And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I ended up Ubering home before he had even paid the bill. But I'm going to recommend the Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. The main character in this is Zachary. He is a grad student and he just seems like the type of person that might kind of not take people seriously if something doesn't fit his worldview, basically. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a stick in the mud because some weird shit happens to him in this book, and I can't even really explain to you what this book is about. It's very never-ending story-esque, and that's really all I can say, but he definitely has this kind of like very pretentious grad school student-esque situation going on. How many times can I say esque in the same video? But that's why I'm gonna recommend this. And I also feel like not a lot of people have read this, or if they have, you kind of can't explain it. So it's like, if you want to read this book, please tell me what you think. And I hope that this video had some good recommendations in it. Those were the books that I am recommending off the bad dates I've been on. If this was a little bit intrusive into my personal life, but yeah. So single life forever, cool beans. So like and subscribe for the chaotic energy that I am throwing off right now. I'm gonna go now. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Bye.